Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel, as always, joined by Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. We made it, folks. We made it to another earnings season. Today is the first real big day of earnings. We had JB Hunt after the bell yesterday, but a lot of big ones here today, especially this morning. Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Johnson & Johnson, United Health, Domino's Pizza, BlackRock. So a lot of earnings to get to. We'll talk about all of the biggest ones on the show today. We'll talk about the acquisition TWLO made yesterday after the close. We'll talk about Walmart's lowered guidance, although it's not really new lowered guidance since they already said they would do that a few months back at the Flipkart acquisition. And our guest today, he's back. Nick Chahine will join us at 8:35 to break down the biggest option trades he's making. Joel, tell us about what's happening in the overnight session.
Yeah, right back in the green, Spencer. Up 15 handles at 27.64. We went off the board at 27.49. Just found support around Thursday's close, Monday's low, way down at 45.25. Looking at the upside here, absolutely nothing. 68.50 was Friday's close, and then yesterday's high, 78.75. Basically a trading range and a very large one at that. Crude in the red by 47 cents here at 71.31. Trying to form a base here at the 70.50 area. We've had three lows in a row, 70.51, 64, and 85. Gold holding up 320 at 1233.50. Silver still can't get over $15, up 7 cents at 14.80. Bitcoin up $70 at 64.40. Triple D, what kind of trouble are you getting yourself into?
Always in trouble here. Trading the banks, trading XLF against the banks, wondering why the XLF won't rally. Well, it's probably because a lot of people bought it last night, but that's for arbitrage traders to worry about, not for retail traders who are, a lot of you guys are swing traders and longer term traders, so you don't care about this 0.1% in the XLF. So let's talk some stocks that are really moving here this morning. Let's go. You want to start with? Want to go away from the banks and just go right to the pot stocks, just to mix it up? Because every media started with the banks, but let's start. I think we should start with the pot stocks because our chat's been all over these stocks, and I mean these things are just hot as hell.
Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, tomorrow's actually legalized, right?
When is the actual day here, Spencer?
Tomorrow is the day that cannabis becomes legal on the federal level. In Canada, it's already legal, in certain provinces now. But tomorrow's the day where the law goes into effect nationwide. Obviously, different provinces have sort of chosen to enforce the law in different ways. For example, the federal age limit is 18. Ontario has raised it up to 19. A lot of provinces have raised it up to 19 just to coincide with the legal drinking age in Canada. But yes, tomorrow is the day where cannabis is legal across the country.
And no wonder Dennis set a Google Calendar invite that he wouldn't be in tomorrow.
Oh,
I know. Now,
yeah, I even got the little, I got a little card in the mail. I should have it. I'll read it tomorrow. I'll go try to find it. It's telling you what this is all about, and the rules and the legalities behind it all. There's a little card explaining, how this legalization of marijuana is going to work. That was sent to every household, I guess, in Canada. So, so interesting, also, to say the least. But these stocks, I'll tell you, you look at, and, props to the chat there, and I forget who was specifically was saying it, but bring up Aurora Cannabis. This one is ACB on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and Spencer's always good with the tickers. It's over the counter here, but it's not going to be over the counter for long because they're going to get a U.S. listing. What is the symbol over here? ACBBF or something?
Well, you're close. ACBFF.
ACBFF. It's been blasting off. It's 11.68, went up another 11% today. I can tell you guys, in Canada, this is trading up another 5.5% on Toronto Stock Exchange this morning. So right now in Canada, it's 15.85 bid. Went off the board at 15. I think like 05 or something. No, 15. Let me just go see. I gotta go grab it. C colon. Okay, so I'm just going to the Canadian Stock Exchange for you. 1507. So it's trading up another 5.5% here this morning after tacking on 11% yesterday. Afria is trading up on the Toronto Stock Exchange 2051, and then all the pot stocks over here are trading higher. CGC up 3.5%. Kronos is up 8% this morning. MJ is up 2.4%. Tilray's up 6%. NBev, who are traders, trade in the chat there quite a bit.
I would
That's
say that's the chat fan. I'm not going to go through the technicals and all of these, but I think NBev's been the chat favorite here. I think Spinner's just been keeping on it. And I think that, take a little bit of a longer time horizon on things keeps you intrigued, a little bit longer, but it had the pop, it had the drop, and then it almost had a gap fill, gave you a couple lows to lean on here. I still think, $10, the breaking above there is an important level. And just overall with these issues, keep an eye on the pre-market high. You always want to see follow through that level and beyond. And then after that, go out and find some daily highs to lean on.
Big moves here, though. So what do you think? Like, let's just go and look at just at a couple individual stocks. Like, bring up the Kronos, CRON, because that had a huge move yesterday.
Sure.
It's tacking on another $1 today. We've seen these moves before, and and obviously we always talk about an event, and we talk about the alpha that can be extracted from being long ahead of the event. And then the event comes, and sometimes you got profit takers. It's like kind of like buy on rumors, sell on news, or buy ahead of the event and sell in the event. Do you think that's going to be the case in this? Because you're getting such a move here. Like Kronos was $10 yesterday, and now we're looking at $12.75. Talking about stock went up 27% here in 2 days. Is this, and this is right ahead of the legalization, is this your classic run up ahead of the news and then maybe going to give it back or give back some after the news?
Spencer?
Wait, no, I want to follow up on that question with a question of my own.
Yeah.
And that is, if this is a sell the news type situation, how would you know that? So how do you identify if, let's say it's
you don't.
Well, no.
If we did know that for sure.
I'm talking about
we could go tomorrow and
I'm talking about tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow and then watch rake it in, but we don't know that.
Well, okay, but I'm talking about on the chart tomorrow morning. What does the chart have to say to you for you to say to yourself, oh, this is a sell the news type event?
It's going red.
All right, that's it. We're done here. We're done.
I'd say the thing's up 30%, ahead of this news. So I don't know. I feel like the easy money has been made.
Yeah.
It was being long ahead of the event. So props to everybody in our chat who's been long these things. But I mean, I kind of feel like, don't you, Joel? Like this is like the classic, like let's run up ahead of the Apple event. Let's run up ahead of an earnings. Let's report. Let's run up ahead of pot legalization. I mean, that's exactly what's happening here. These things have just went parabolic. Tilray does have benchmark analysts coming out with a buy rating on it today. So there is an analyst coming out here with a buy rating on Tilray. But I mean, holy cow, these things just exploded the last couple of days ahead of the legalization.
Did you see the Tilray price target from benchmark?
What'd they give? What is it?
$200.
Well, it could be there today. It's 176.
Yeah, I know. That's why I left.
Target. It's not high enough. No, I don't know. Who knows where these things are going?
First of all, William Lay in the chat, he asked specifically here about Canopy Growth, which really got the party started, right, with that investment from Constellation Brands. Sitting up here at 59.65, that's your pre-market high, that's your all-time high. I would like to see follow through by through $60. It just seems to be stalling here since 4 a.m. So I'd like to see that continue higher. My conventional wisdom would be, how do you know how much this is going to help the stocks? Yeah, it's going legal tomorrow. You're not going to know for 1, 2, 3 months or 1, 2, or 3 quarters what the results are going to be, in the bottom line for these companies. So that makes me, kind of want to sell the news or sell half a position that I had it. On the other coin, I mean, these stocks get going in one direction. Why in the hell stand in the way, right?
Yep.
So
that's it.
Yeah. So
it's so tough to stand in the way when they're going straight up like this. I did buy some of that. And somebody was asking about that Mad Men stock. I bought a little bit of that in Canada yesterday, just overnight, because I knew the CEO. They said he was going to be on Mad Money. I was like, well, that could lift it. So I did buy a little bit of that Mad Men. It is traded over the counter in Canada too, like on this pure exchange. So I actually can't. I can see there's bids and offers, but I don't think there's a pre-market in that because I don't have an actual trade. So I can't give you quotes on that. But that's NFF over here. So after 9:30, we'll get quotes on that one too. But unlike the Toronto Stock Exchange that has a pre-market now, I don't believe you have any. I don't believe you have a pre-market on that pure exchange, which I don't even know what that is. I don't follow the Toronto Stock Exchange close, or I don't follow the Canadian markets close enough. So I think that's like their over-the-counter market, though.
Interesting. Saritha Property is mentioning here in the Google chat. IGC has an offering. Did you see that, Dennis? And she's want to know why it's so low. It's that one is going. That's the Indian pot company.
Yeah, and you know, and I put a $2 price target.
It's a holding company.
Holding company.
Yeah. I put a $2 price target on this when this thing was $13. It's $4.50. It's not quite there. I'm sticking with my $2 price target. I said within 6 months it's going to be $2. So you can tell how much I like this one. I obviously don't. I'm a spader of rallies on it. Can it get a more of a lift here? Yeah, you know, $4. You know, maybe it gets a pop, a short-term pop here. But I think long-term, I think this was kind of more like the, oh, let's change our name to blockchain because everything blockchain is hot. I think this isn't one of those pure plays in my opinion. But anyways, just I didn't do a hell of a lot of research on it, but I've been right with the call so far. Obviously, you know, I took a little bit of heat because I think it was $11 or $12 and it ran to 14 after I said that $2 price target. But the very next day it was down at 9 and then at 6 and then went down to 4 and I was like, holy cow, I might get it in like 3 days as opposed to 6 months, but that didn't happen. It's found some support at 4. So I would say you've got support at 4. If you want to buy the dip, I would say I definitely don't want to be long below 4. But you're getting a dip on offering. You know what? I don't mind it here as a trade, not as a long-term investment. I still think it's going to $2 in 6 months. But can it, you know, lift off this and hold the 4? Maybe. So I don't mind it as a trade setup off of 4.
And I think just general answer that question is they do the offerings where they think they can get the stock done, right?
Well, they have to.
Yeah,
and then they got to go low sometimes.
You got to entice them. And
yeah,
if they would have tried this
money.
14, yeah, they need money. So it's just a good level. Is it really a $4? Is that the level that they picked? No,
I don't know where it is. Okay. I'm just saying I'm looking at the chart. And you see all the lows that you had, the $4 low, $3.97. I rounded to 4.40. Yesterday was 4.42. Now you're down to 4.50. You know what? It's bounced off here a few times, and the other pot stocks are high. I think it could bounce off this 4.50 area again. So I would say I wouldn't go short it here. I would definitely not be shorting it into this. So in my opinion, but am I going to go long in? I don't know. Maybe it's interesting setup. We'll say that.
All right.
But long term again, I think it's, you know, don't stick this in a long term portfolio and think, you know, you're going to get back to $15. I think that ship has sailed. I think if you're buying it for a trade, maybe you're buying at 4.50, trying to flip out at 5.50 or 6. I don't think you're ever getting back to 14 again. In my opinion, I don't think it's ever getting there again.
Okay. All right. We talked about marijuana stocks for 14 minutes here.
Oh, they like that. The chat's buzzing about it. No pun intended. The chat's buzzing. We'll all be buzzing in Canada in 2 days. It's legal.
I'm just
not me though. Not me.
What about
never will.
What about like the police and the driving and the safety hazards and anything
it's
like
that?
It's going to be like drunk driving. So if you are under the influence, my bigger concern, we've said this before, and I've talked about with my friends in Canada, my bigger concern is they're going to allow you to smoke marijuana the same places they allow you to smoke cigarettes.
Yep.
So my concern is I'm at a public park with my 1-year-old and my 3-year-old. And there's some teenage, or there's some kid, or there's some people that just light up a marijuana joint near us. I guess I got to leave because I don't want my kid to get stoned.
Well,
so I guess I'm just going to have to physically leave the park because when you light up a cigarette, it's one thing, but when you light up a marijuana joint, it's strong smelling. And I don't want my kid, you know, my 1-year-old breathing in marijuana smoke. So I just, you know, don't want to go to every public park, you know, for a walk with your kid and then have to leave the park because of somebody smoking pot beside me. I wish they had more control of it over there. I don't like the idea they can smoke marijuana everywhere you can smoke a cigarette. Hotel rooms, are you going to allow in hotel rooms? I mean, a lot of hotels are non-smoking now, but some aren't. So, you know, you literally smell somebody. When you go to a floor and somebody smokes marijuana on that floor, you smell on the entire floor. It's so much stronger smelling. Like, that's my concern. I don't want my kid getting accidentally stoned.
It smells strong. It's potent, but I've never heard of anyone getting secondhand high from the smell.
You're breathing it in. I mean, Joel, you agree with me? You can smell that marijuana from a long ways away.
I've never heard it actually affecting anyone, like, getting.
But would you want your 1-year-old standing beside somebody smoking a marijuana joint?
I don't know. Hold on. Let me ask. Nope, he's good.
Anyway,
well, can I just say one thing on that, Dennis?
I wish they had a little bit more. I think, we didn't think this through enough. I don't think it should be allowed like in public parks where you got families and stuff going through. There should be like different area. You want to do it in your home? Cool. You want to do it on your own private property? Cool. But in a public setting, in a public park, I don't like that idea. And they're going to allow it right now, but I hope that changes.
Dennis, and we are definitely moving on after this comment. Okay. What the legalization and what people are doing, smoking is becoming less and less people are, vaping or using edibles. So there's a lot of other things, I
have no problem with the edibles at all.
Okay.
No problem with the edibles at all. Because
so I think that's going to be, more prevalent than people walking around smoking joints.
I have no problem with the edibles because that's consumption. I mean, it's the same thing as somebody having a drink of alcohol. It's just the fact that when you're smoking a cigarette,
correct,
you do breathe secondhand smoke. When you're smoking marijuana, you can say, maybe you're not breathing, but you are inhaling some of it when you smell it. Like, and there's cases out there, obviously, that, tobacco smoke, where, the spouse of a cigarette smoker gets cancer, like gets lung cancer because they're breathing it in all the time. So that's my only concern is the edibles I have no problem with at all. You want to ingest, into your own system, that's not affecting anybody. But if you're going to smoke a marijuana joint beside me in a public park, I don't like that idea. That's just my thoughts. You can have whatever opinions on it, but I don't like, my 1-year-old breathing or being near somebody smoking a joint. That's all.
Let's move on to the banks.
Is it earnings season?
Yes, it's earnings season. Let's go to the earnings. Let's start with the banks. Goldman Sachs reporting this morning Q3 EPS $6.28 versus a $5.38 estimate. Sales of 8.65 versus 8.4 billion. So beat on the top and the bottom line for Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs is rallying in the pre-market, has not given it back. And that's good news because we've seen so many banks come in, rally on good numbers, and then give it back. Now we're still in the pre-market, so there's a lot of trading day left here. But Goldman Sachs is trying to hold the gains. It was in the doghouse before this. They always report good numbers. It's up $3. So take it with what, with a grain of salt there. Just caution again to the buyer because he seemed to sell off after. But maybe this is going to be one that's going to hold it.
Trading up in the pre-market, $3.03 at 218.25, right near the highs of the pre-market session, which comes in at 1872. Don't have exact numbers to give you here. I would just say getting over 220. There's no daily high or low there, but getting over 220, I think would really signal more upside. Bank of America and JP Morgan both did give it back off their reports, but just the financials. I mean, I thought interest rates going up were good for banks. I don't know if that was all baked in or they didn't, they're not going up as much as they want, even though some people think it's going up too much. I don't know. These things are just a real puzzler here. Just not good looking on the charts. And we'll see if this pop can hold. Currently trading up $3.03 at 18.25.
Also have Morgan Stanley numbers. They are trading up. I did short some Morgan Stanley here I was actually long going to the report. I sold the long. That's popped up here, and I've went short. But you know what? I'm not liking the trading action, so I'm probably going to cover this short very soon, maybe even in the pre-market here. But anyways, just because it's not, I thought it might be one that pops up and gives it back pretty quickly, and it didn't do it. So it's holding on, which is good news for longs, and I'm probably going to cover this short pretty soon.
$1.17 was the EPS versus $1.02 estimate, so a nice 15-cent beat there. Sales 9.87 versus $9.56 billion, so a beat on the EPS and sales for Morgan Stanley.
It's great numbers. I was just hoping you'd see the trade where they rally them on good numbers and sell them off, and we haven't seen that yet. So, and that's what we're not seeing here in the pre-market. Morgan Stanley holding the gains. Goldman seems to be holding the gains. So maybe that's good news for the banks. Maybe we're going to get a left. Remember, TLT is trading slightly in the red here too. That is usually good for the banks as well.
Trading in an important area. Your last two highs from Thursday and Friday. Yesterday's high were quite a bit above that. 44.78, 44.57 we're stuck here right now. So I think if you're looking for follow through on this, boom, you want to take out those sellers right here, get over 45. Then you got a big red bar to do some work in. And that was the day when the market tanked. And so your 4 days high is 46.41. I think it's very important here that you take out this resistance, get over $45 for a continued rally.
Lot of earnings. So we'll move away from the banks. Let's go over to, where do you want to go? Johnson Johnson?
Sure.
Let's do J&J.
All right, J&J reporting Q3 EPS of $2.05. It's a 2-cent beat on the estimate. Sales of $20.34 billion versus $20.03 billion. So beating the sales number as well. They're also raising their guidance for the fiscal year. The EPS outlook for the fiscal year was raised. $8.07 was the original low end of the range. Now it was raised up 6 cents to $8.13. Fiscal year sales estimate raised also by a hair, 81 to 81.2 billion dollars. So slight raises to the fiscal year EPS and sales guidance, and beats on the Q3 EPS and sales figures.
Crickets on this one. It's trading, but it's just trading really tight. So they're not really jumping around and doing cartwheels on this, but they're not hitting it here either. So maybe when we get to the regular session, we'll see some trading action. But
Yeah,
I'll just say crickets on J&J.
Yeah, it is. And you have your bar from yesterday, your high of 35.30. So I just use your parameters from yesterday: 35.30 high, 33.51 low, and 33.95 close. So real bad day, as we know, with the rest of the market 3 days ago when it lost a lot of juice. We went from 37.73 to 33.84. If you're banking on this for a swing trade or whatever, you got to lean on that 2-day low of 132.33.
Jump over, man, earnings parade here. It's just starting. So let's go UNH. They reported way early this morning, I think in like the 5 o'clock handle. Stock is trading up. Spencer, details.
Q3 adjusted EPS of $3.41 versus $3.29. So 12-cent beat there. Sales 56.6 for first 56.34 billion. So slight beats on the EPS and the sales guidance for Q3. They're also raising their fiscal year guidance, raising the EPS guidance from $12.50 to $12.80 on the low end of the range.
Wow.
It was higher.
You're popping, but the one problem I'm going to say is you got all kinds of overhead supply up to 270. This is where we struggled in August. We struggled in September. I know we snuck our head above 272, 271, but it's rounded all to 270. Major resistance up there. I'm not buying this up 5 points when I know there's major resistance 5 points higher.
Would you bought it 10 points higher at 269? Oh, those are just odd lots that traded up there.
Anyway, in any regard here, no.
269.10. We're trading at 64.70 up 445. I will keep an eye on your 3-day high of 264.40. We hold that. You can get back in. Once again, you're dealing with these big red candles. Excuse me. Coming back on the downside, if we go into reverse, to fill the gap, you need to go to 262.44.
And jumping over, we'll just continue the earnings parade. Here we got, let's go Domino's Pizza.
Yep, DPZ reporting this morning Q3 EPS of $1.95 versus $1.75 estimate, so a 20-cent beat there. Sales $786 for $787.7 million, so slight sales miss. They said their Q3 domestic same-store sales growth grew on a year-over-year basis 6.3%.
Not good enough. That's the bottom line. Stock has obviously had a huge run since the summer when we saw this stock. Well, actually, I guess it was earlier in the year when we saw the stock right at the beginning of the year, $180, went over 300. So it's had a great year. It didn't run up into the report, but I'll just say it's run up all year. So it's, needs to blow it away. I guess they didn't do it, and that's why the stock is trading down 10 points in the pre-market.
All right. You are coming off that pre-market low. Pre-market low was 255.03. You came down in this area once before. You came down to 253.64. So if I'm a short or looking to initiate a long, I'll just give it that $1.50 range to try and really bring it on the cheap. But just the way we're starting to rally a little bit now, they might have whacked it and you might have missed that low, and you're going to have to buy this on the uptick. We are trading at the highs since we made that low at 261.69. Once again, your pre-market low, 255.03.
They're telling me race is halted right now. I don't
Yep.
see that. So race is actually trading here. Maybe it was halted or it was limit up in Milan. It is trading here actively in the pre-market. RACE getting a nice pop. PayPal and race both were added to the US 1 list at Bank of America. That's like their conviction list. And it's getting a big lift. I don't know if there was other news on RACE overnight, Spencer. Was there something else for driving this?
No, I don't think so. I'm not
It's
sure.
a big list. PayPal's trading up significantly too. PayPal's up $1.20 because Bank of America added that one. Those two are their top picks. So anyways, in any regard, RACE's been in the gutter. It's getting a relief pop here this morning, up to 122. Obviously, it's trading active overseas. So when you see it here, it's not like this is just pre-market trading. This is active trading because the active market is open overseas in Europe. So when you see it here, that's real pricing. It's not like pre-market pricing.
Okay, yeah, it's boy, all these auto stocks have been in the gutter. I mean, the only one I'm kicking myself on here a little bit was Tesla here. It just kind of hung out there at like 252. Oh, look at this chart in Tesla. Look at this daily one, Dennis. Is this looking itchy?
I think it's going up. I don't know why.
I don't know why I
this is
didn't
gonna
take
come
a small
back
flyer on the
again.
one. Look at that.
I got that. I just can't get stop it. When I don't own it, I want to own it. When I own it, I don't want to own it. I'm gonna have that. It's like is there like a disease for that or something? It's the fear of missing out. I have FOMO, but then I get FOLO when I own it. The fear of losing out. I have no idea. But anyways, the chart looks pretty good. I mean, it's starting to grind up here. It's holding its own, but again, it's also Momo too. So if you see the market start to roll over, which I still think we might do, it'll take Tesla along with it. But the market holds. Tesla looks okay.
Yeah, I was looking at that. Let's just go over the other car stocks here. GM making a new low of the move 2 days ago. And Ford in the same way. And I tell you, I did some looking at some cars yesterday afternoon and some leases, and they're just ridiculous. I was looking at a sedan. I was like, well, of course I wanted to renew my lease on the current car I have at the dirt cheap level. And the guy told me, he laughed at me when he saw the rate I had, but I looked at some other, I mean, I am not going to pay. I mean, they're like $500-600 for I don't know. Oh, I might not even have to go buy a car. I hate to go do that, but I mean, the same with GM. There's just, I don't know what, if they're just planning on getting rid of all the cars they have and going electric or something, but there just wasn't much out there. So I know GM just made a new low of the move. Ford just made a new low of the move 2 days ago. Man, oh man, these things are in the gutter. And FCAU, that was the best performer, but
it's popping today.
Yeah.
Maybe with race, it's overseas. Race is getting a huge pop here too. Fiat Chrysler is trading up here. It's up 3% in the pre-market. So a little relief pop in these, and maybe nothing goes straight down, but the trend is still not your friend on any of these stocks.
Yeah, no, it's down, and you talk about sectors dragging the market down into interest rate sensitive sectors. It's the car sector, and then this XHB, the housing sector. If you want to find some concerns in the market, I mean, boom, right there it is. Those two interest rate sensitive sectors are just charts look absolute. The XHB. We're getting back down to levels you haven't seen since early 2017.
We're going to get imbalances in just a second here. I'm going to bring them up because there's going to be some interesting ones here. We're 5 seconds away, so bear with me as I bring them up, and we'll give them to you hot off the press. We have Square 147,000 to buy. That's probably going to move it. Well, I was already trading up $1.55, so it's up significantly already. That one stands out for sure, though. Some of the defensive stuff. Pfizer 68,000 to sell. Some of the defensive stuff because we appear to be a risk on morning here. So you're seeing some sell imbalances in some of the defensive stuff. Really, the only thing that's really standing out to me. Let's go look at Alibaba. Baba 40,000 to sell. That's fairly small for Baba though. Square stands out 147,000 to buy. That stands out pretty good.
Dennis, could you do a risk on, risk off, real quick breakdown again? I mean, I know.
Yeah. So when I start my morning. Typically you come in and the first thing you want to see S&P futures higher. And I mean, are they higher? If they're significantly higher, it's pretty much like you can see it's going to probably be a risk on day. When they're putting risk on, It means your higher beta assets, your tech stocks, the stuff that moves along with the market's going to be higher. When those days, it actually, some of your defensive names sometimes trade lower on those days. So sometimes when you see the market way up, it doesn't mean every stock's going to go up. There's often stocks that actually trade down. So your more defensive names, like your utilities, are defensive. They often trade down when the market's trading higher. A little bit of inverse correlation. You've got your like food stocks, sometimes Coke and Pepsi can sometimes trade down. Procter & Gamble can sometimes be weak. Think about the XLP. So stocks like in the XLP and the XLU, your REITs, those sometimes actually can trade lower on days that the S&P are stronger, and they're very much linked to the TLT. So, the number one thing you can really look at here is the TLT when you're trading those stocks, because when interest rates or when the bonds are getting hit, utilities trade like a bond. Some of these other stocks, because they're mostly dividends, and that's why people are owning them, trade like bonds. So when the bonds are getting hit, that stuff gets hit as well. We're not seeing a huge hit on the TLT today, but we're slightly in the red. Actually, we've come all the way back. So we're almost flat on the TLT. So it's not really an indicator here at all. Did we have an 830 number? Because we were trading down significantly. Did we have anything come out just a few minutes ago?
No, we didn't.
I don't have anything. Dennis, just real quick, a recap on that. Your risk on, you're buying your high flyers, your higher PE stocks, risk off, you're looking, like you said, your dividend, your food stocks, all the boring stuff Dennis and I have in our portfolios that don't move. So just want a quick explanation of that. 8:32, we have a few minutes here before we're bringing on.
Let's do one more earnings.
One more earnings?
Yeah, let's do BlackRock. BLK
Sure.
Reported this morning Q3 adjusted EPS of $7.52 versus a $6.86 estimate. Sales $3.58 versus $3.65 billion. So a beat on the EPS and a miss on the sales.
Look at this.
Been a while. I don't trade BlackRock because the $500 stock, well, I guess it's a $400 stock I haven't looked at for a while, so it's been hit. Reason I don't trade it is because the spread's so dang wide that it makes it difficult to get done, and I don't like paying 1 or 2 point spread, so I typically don't trade BlackRock.
I mean, this is an ugly chart. This is a very ugly chart. I mean,
Been hit hard.
Yeah. I mean, your all-time high was made in December at $594.52. We were down $13 at $413.73. Pre-market low is even lower than that, 408. You got to go all the way out to your monthlies here. And okay, I'll stick my neck out here. 408.62. That was your low in August of 2017. In June, you had a low at 407.79. So if I was fortunate enough to have a short in here, I'd love to try and bring it in at 408 and change. If not, you're going to be buying this on the upswing. The high since you made that pre-market low is 417 even.
Jump over. We're moving away from earnings here just for a second. Let's go to Adobe, because they had Adobe last night had guidance, and it is not good, or it is very good actually. Stock's popping big time here in the pre-market. It was popping big time last night after hours. Give us those numbers, and Joel, break down this after hours trading action.
They reaffirmed their Q4 sales and EPS guidance. They said as far as the fiscal year is concerned, they see total sales growth of around 20% on a year-over-year basis. I mentioned the Q4 guidance. Both sales and EPS was reaffirmed, but the 20% numbers, I think, what people are holding their hat on this morning.
Stocks just popping big time. One, word of caution is that, you've seen, significant sell-off here. You're going to have overhead supply. I don't think it's going to come in maybe 251, 252, but you get anywhere up near 260. I think there's sellers all over the place. So risk reward isn't really set up great here to chase this up $13. I just don't think we're in this environment here where everything's turned around on a dime. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all the lows are in, but I don't think they are yet. So I'm more apt to sell the rally as opposed to buy the dip, but I'd like it to rally some more. I'd love it to get up in the higher 250s, like say 257, 258, and then I feel like I got less risk. At 252, I feel like it's kind of in the middle. It's not quite high enough for me to want to short it. Definitely not low enough for me to want to buy it.
You're trying to get the highs of the pre-market session here at 253 even. I'm looking at a high here of 253.38. That's your 4-day high. So if you're looking for a little bit more in an upside target, that's about 2 points away. On the downside here, though, if you are shorting it, you're going to have some company here because everyone that's been short this thing since the 270 area feel that they might have missed the boat yesterday. So it's not going to be just whooshing right back down, and resistance at 253.38.
All right, I'm going to bring on Nick right now. Nick Chahine
Sure.
joins us every Tuesday. He is the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. Was not with us last week, but he's with us this morning. Nick, are you there?
Good morning. I am.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Yourself?
We're doing all right. We're doing all right. Did you enjoy your week away from us?
I couldn't get away.
You had to listen to us. He missed us.
Do
You
you
had to
know,
listen.
Nick came
Did you
over-
listen to us?
I couldn't. I was in your well, not yours, in the Detroit area.
He came
so
all the way to Detroit, and he didn't come here, Spencer. What do you think about that?
What is
That says
all
something.
about?
Says something.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh,
Now he had you had a wedding, correct? Not your wedding.
Yes. My best friend of 46 years got married, so I was at his mercy. And as always, the wedding is drama for the couple, but a bash for everybody else. But if you're the best man or the maid of honor, then you get to be
committed.
stuck in the drama. So,
What did you think of Michigan? Did you get to see much of it?
well, I didn't see a lot of it. I did drive through quite a few hip areas, so it looks like there's a lot happening, but there's also some other areas that need a lot of help.
What hip areas did you go through?
The few.
Do you remember
Do I remember what?
the hip areas that you went through?
Yeah, Joel's neighborhood.
Now you put me on the spot. I'm
Okay.
drawing a
Oh,
blank.
Joel's-
But it looked like Palo Alto downtown, cute little downtown, flat buildings, cute little shops. Everybody's walking around, cafes all over the place. So, if you give me 10 names, I can probably come up with it.
Royal
but
Oak?
I don't.
Birmingham? No. All right.
Yes, that one I think.
All right, moving on.
Birmingham sounds pretty good because
Okay.
I remember saying it's close to Burlingame in south of San Francisco.
Okay. All right. So, Nick, here we are. We're up 19 handles at 27.68. I mean, we're just in a big old trading range here, right? I mean, we can't take out the lows of the move, and we can't break out to over 2,800. I know for a fact that you've been maintaining a bullish stance here during this sell-off here. Tell us why.
The fundamentals. I mean, I feel again that we have a crisis of sentiment here. When you have no experts on TV or in the news, and I haven't read any articles that say, "Hey, we're going to new highs." Everybody's worried about the correction. Meanwhile, I see the small caps, I think, corrected almost 14%. The Nasdaq almost 9%. Those are mini corrections that may have taken the steam out of whatever is brewing below. So I'm not so sure that we need a big correction without a change in the game. People are worried about the fundamentals deteriorating a little bit. I don't know. We will get that. I don't believe it, I should say. We will get that answer in the next round of earnings. Now, the guidance is going to be, I think, taken differently than it would have been, say, at the highs. Because now the guidance, if I hear a CEO say, we're guarded for the next quarter because of X and Y, then it's going to be taken differently than somebody lowering guidance or having self-guidance when they're at all-time highs. That's my opinion. We saw the action in Adobe yesterday, down 4%, up 5% this morning. So emotions are high. People want to be bullish, but they're feeling they shouldn't be.
Okay.
That's my.
So what are you just gonna sit tight during this trading range here and see if
Well-
earnings could, what would be saying? I mean, we had this kind of break earlier in the year, and we went right back up. I mean, what
Yeah.
would give you an indication that that's what we're going to do this time?
You're going to have to be tactical with what you go long, in my opinion. I mean, if you go long good fundamentals on bad charts, that's probably where you're going to win the best. I missed Adobe being down 4% yesterday. Somehow I got busy in the chat room. I don't know how the heck I missed it. I would have gotten a few calls in Adobe. Let's put it that way, because that's a great company. Yes, it's expensive from a PE perspective, but it delivers good. It's like Boeing. Every good sized dip is an opportunity to go along because they're doing things right. Microsoft corrected well. If you wanted to ever be long Netflix into a lottery ticket, this is it on earnings, because I doubt that their ego would let them deliver 2 stinkers in a row. So that would be one to go long as a lottery ticket for the earnings.
All right. What about, I'm getting Google. Someone really wants to know about Google here. Take a look, GOOG. They got rid of, what was their Google Plus or their Google Hangouts or whatever it was. That stock's been in the gutter. Trading up 875, clearing. Oh, no, not quite yet. You got a double top at 115 area. What's your thoughts on GOOG, or do the one with the L if you want?
Yeah, I do the one with the L. The other one has some funky stuff that goes on in it. So Google is definitely not what I expected would happen. I did expect a little break off of 1155, 1154 area. I drew a little box, and I drew a little tail as to where I thought it would stop. And that was around 1120. That was the prior support. We sliced right through on this market-wide sentiment. So it's not a Google specific, although inside of it hidden was that big news about Google Plus and the data breach that they may or may not have had. And 1075, 76, 1080 is a visual place where it should rest. This is where we're at. Below that would be 1020. I wouldn't be surprised if we won't go below that, because if it loses 1078, I think it could be inverse cup handle-ish, whatever, testing a neckline that fails. And if it does, they go to the next level below it. Again, over earnings, I think they're going to be continuing to be a cash cow. So the fundamentals are still strong. And if the markets are higher down the line, all of these stocks will be higher, the ones with good fundamentals. Facebook was kind of hit with its own plague, but maybe coming out of the sentiment woes it has, because yesterday it was holding green while markets were red. So Google, I like fundamentally. I would own it for the long term. I would definitely take calls into the earnings. Maybe do some sort of a strategic trade where you win either case, or you win on the upside and you don't lose a lot on the downside. And sometimes I do it with some sort of a complicated options trade.
For those just joining us, we're on the line with Nick Chahine. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. He joins the show almost every Tuesday to give us his fundamental and technical outlooks on the market. Very quick at pulling up charts here. So now we are going to go to EA, Electronic Arts, been in the gutter, along with ATVI, who had some good news yesterday but couldn't mount a rally. A lot of pressure, not a good-looking chart here in EA, Nick. You trying to pick a bottom?
I tried to pick a rally, and I lost on it. So I got ticked off at it, and I walked away from it. So I kind of like took my ball and went home. Okay. So it's back to a consolidation zone. Whatever happened, this is a weekly chart I just posted. And back in May of 2017, something happened on earnings that changed the game. So whoever knows the stock fundamentally needs to know what changed then and if it's still true now. There was a poke down in December of 17 to where they tried to erase that candle and they failed. And that is around the 99, 60, 70, something like that eyeball. So obviously the century mark is important here, not for moral support, but also for that large candle back in May of last year, and the test at it in December. So learn the fundamentals and see if this is a picking place. In fact, I'm going to put it on my list to revisit and do homework on it, because I don't know the fundamentals.
I know you were trying to pick a bottom here in Stitch Fix a few weeks ago, along with maybe not a few weeks. Yeah. Back when it had the big gap down. I know I took my lumps in it. You've had 3 up days. Let's see. Do you have 3 up days? No. You got 1 up day, and then it kind of hung in there. Now I might be a little more interested here, because I think that the volume here, you had 10 million traded just to 15 million, then 8 million, 9.5. Maybe it's just not that it's a fundamentally good company or anything, but maybe just the sellers are all dried up here. Tell us what you're looking at, and tell us what happened on your original trade in it, if you're still in it, and if you're looking to re-engage.
I'm still in it. I sold puts. They're red, but they haven't assigned me. So I'm in it. If they assign me, I'll turn around and sell it or keep it. I got assigned on Dropbox.
I want to ask you about that, Nick. When's the last time you got assigned on something?
decades ago, it was Suncor, and I haven't looked at that chart in I can't remember when. So there are some areas of interest of Stitch Fix. I think the concept works. Back to the DBX. I was in a loser credit put spread, a 50-cent bet that I lost. It was a 50-50 shot, but I stayed in it. I figured, hey, if it pops, I'm out. If it didn't, I lost a quarter a contract, which was the bet I made. And I woke up one day owning some shares, so I was left with the long put. I sold that for a profit because obviously the way it moved. I owned the stock. The stock popped since then, so I can sell the stock for a profit now. So overall, the trade is profitable, even though I got a sign. So the lesson is, don't freak out if you get a sign. If you did it in the right stock, then you might be lucky.
Why is it that you don't get a sign more? Is it because you hedge yourself, or you're always making those, bets that are way out of the money and they just don't, the stocks usually don't fall that far?
That's probably it. And usually the people that, it has to make sense for them mathematically. So it not only has to be in the money for me, but whoever has that put that, it makes sense for them beyond their break-even point. So.
Okay, interesting. Traded your way out of it, getting a sign on one.
I still have it. I kept the stock. I haven't kept the stock this long in a long time. I'm kind of enjoying it.
Long-term investor.
Oh, no.
Let's not go that. Warren Buffett over here.
Let's not go that
What
far.
else is in that long-term investment portfolio?
Whatever gets exercised on.
Hey, here's the headline. Nick is all in Dropbox.
You're all in Dropbox.
The only stock I have right now.
Really? That's the only one?
I haven't owned stocks in years, so yes.
Okay. He just collects premium. He's an insurance broker, is what he is to the market. You just write insurance.
Or sell lottery tickets, but I'd be hopefully selling.
You write insurance and you sell lottery tickets. That's a good business to be in.
Yeah.
Nick, talk to us about these financials here. I was told higher interest rates are great for the financials here, and JP Morgan popped and dropped, Bank of America popped and dropped, Goldman's up 268. What's going on with these financials, Nick?
But, I did write in the note saying they're popping now, but they will flip. Don't chase them. They always do that because they told us that interest rates will be higher for them, but it's not the case. I mean, there's some other stuff that needs to be, there needs to be a spread for them to make money, but that's working. But the story is whatever trading they're doing is not working. So yeah, the fundamentals are great. They're cheap. They're selling close to book value, maybe 1.5 times. Goldman Sachs is up today, but it beat tops and bottom line. But I didn't read the headline as to what they did with the trading. So maybe this one breaks the mold. But the other one,
the trading wasn't good.
Okay, so I don't know. Well, Goldman Sachs, I thought it had a date with 200, 210, 200 because somebody wanted to go along a couple of weeks ago. Actually, she may be in the room here. Anyway, so the banks are not to be followed up, in my opinion. The way I make my money on banks is when they have a 4% down day is when you sell puts in them. Because if you get a sign, you get a solid investment in a company that where the bottom is near because they're selling at book value and at like 12 PE or something ridiculous like this. So yeah, don't chase the upside is my motto in banks until something changes in the narrative.
All right, the first 15 minutes of the show, we talked about the marijuana sector, big event tomorrow in Canada, going live here, and people are like, oh, is this sell the news or what's going to go on? I think the only one I've been following you on, and you've been doing pretty darn well on it, is Canopy Growth. So I just wondered, and I know you're sitting on some profits in this one, anticipation of the event, trading up $1.77 today, near the highs of pre-market session. What's your big run in here in CGC? What are you doing with it?
I'm holding my longs. And yesterday I did scalp. I posted in the chat room the trade and it spiked. And I said, I'm trailing out of some. And I did. And then I reopened and I sold some put spreads. And now I'm sitting green in a calendar. So I want it to run, but not too far this week. And run into next week. So I'm hoping this event would be that everybody's seeing sell the event or whatever they say as a like a stock lockup where a hot stock
point.
is like, oh, you can't own it through the lockup, and then the lockup comes and goes, and it just goes ballistic because that fear is gone, and people now are free to trade it the way they want to. So I'm holding my greens, and I'm going to risk it because it's one of those. I don't know much about it, but I'm going to take the SDZ word in their investment into the one company that they chose. So that's my thesis on it. It's kind of like the stupid way of following somebody else's homework.
You're getting out the fishing pole and looking for a bottom in Federal Express here. And I don't know if you were trying to pick a bottom after its last earnings report, but this thing's really in the gutter. I think it's trading up on odd lots today. Yeah, 1 in 3 shares, 59 shares. So don't get faked out by being up 283, though. That may be commensurate with fair value. I see a 2-day high at 224.76 that we haven't hit yet. Thoughts on FDX?
In theory, I should like it because it's obviously a good company, but it's trading horrendously, and maybe somebody knows something we don't. PE is like 19. That's trailing PE every time I mention PE, so it's like proven actual delivered PE, not forward PE. In theory, it should be a place where it should find support because this is a level where it was at last November, and that was a resistance level a few months before that, I think July. And then finally in November, they sprung in force ahead of the earnings. They must have pre-announced or something because it had amazing candles. And then thereafter, follow through after the earnings. So overshoot, and now back to reality from which they sprang last year. So the question now is, what happened? Same as the first ticker we talked about. What happened during these big candles? Because they just erased all of them in big red candles, almost identical if you look at them. So I don't know fundamentally what happened. I think there was an Amazon headline somewhere, but those are the big red ones in between. So fundamentally, if I wanted to gamble on it, I could, because, but that's also a statement to the market in general. If the market is lower, this one will be at 205 in no time. Otherwise, by itself, market held steady, it could probably be a good point to start nibbling.
We have been on the line with Nick Chahine. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. Joins the show every Tuesday to share his fundamental and technical analysis of the markets. Thanks a lot, Nick. We'll be checking with you later on.
Looking forward to it. Thanks.
All right. This is just an unstoppable rally, Dennis. How do we lose 30 handles in the last hour of the session and just get 20 of it back right away? Is it
because it's this whipsaw trading action here now? We don't know. There's the biggest battle between the bulls and the bears here right now. You've got the bears, and I think I'm more in that camp, saying that there's overhead supply here. The market is spooked. We're probably going to retest those lows. And then you've got the bulls saying, no, that was the washout 3 days ago. That was the bottom, and I need to start employing capital here once again, or deploying capital here once again, because I'm underinvested and I need to buy stocks. I'm going to go into the higher beta names. So that's the battle here. We're at the battleground. I would say it stays in the battle. Like, I can't say, that's the one thing, coming here short. Well, it still looks bearish. Even get up to 280 or 282 on the SPY. You got 50, 60 handles where you'd still kind of say, well, it still could be, we could still be going down. So how do you control the risk in here? This is really, it's difficult. So it's hard to initiate. I mean, obviously I do a lot of, statistical arbitrage, and I do in different things, and I do relationship-based trading. So that's how I try to control the risk. But if you're flat out making a call saying the market's going lower, and you just flat out short the SPY or short, the Qs or short an individual stock, I mean, there is a lot of air above and there's a lot of air below. It's difficult to control the risk here.
I mean, my first instinct, after the yesterday and the market action here, and Anne Marie was on, like the day after, sell the rips. I mean, to me, this is as good a rip to sell as any. But if you're going to lean on something, yesterday's high is not up to 78.75. In fact, that's a top number I have on my sheet because we closed at 27.49. Just no way of, unless you're following every ticks from 6 p.m. I guess if you're looking if you do want to short, or you're looking to exit a long on this or something, keep an eye on the pre-market highs, and then, see if you get, follow through on that. But I don't know. And also looking at some of these charts of these financials and everything, it doesn't look that good. But you can't argue by the dip. At least last night.
There are people that are out there buying the dip, and maybe they're going to be right. I mean, they've been right for 7 years, Joel. So it's hard to say that they're going to be wrong. This is the time. Right. So, and that's why, I'm somewhat in the bear camp, but I'm not sitting here selling out my portfolio. No. I'm not sitting here with a bunch of shorts on. I'm kind of just sitting here watching the action. I got a little bit of the sit on hands from a call perspective. I don't have any swing trades on. I have 0 swing trades on right now because I don't know where we're going. And so it's difficult. I'm just, I've got a lot of day trades. I have 36 day trades on overnight. Those are overnighters. They're going to be sold out here and probably try to work out within the first hour of the day. But from, long-term perspective, I'm kind of sticking with my portfolio. I did lighten up a little bit of a couple stocks yesterday. I've had Harris in my portfolio forever. And that was just an enormous pop yesterday. So I actually sold a third of the position of Harris yesterday. I bought Harris during the financial crisis at, I think, $27. It's 173. So I decided to take 1/3 of the position off the table. So I did lighten that up. We know I lightened up my MasterCard a few days ago. And then I probably tried to offset it with I had some Canadian stock that was down a little bit. And so I was trying to offset it, but they're trying to minimize the tax bill again. But I just don't know where this market. This is a tough one. It's a real battle here between the Bulls and the Bears.
What about Twitter here? How about the day that I lose my wager to you on Twitter? It goes below $27, right? And you win the wager.
That was low.
And then, and I'm kicking myself on this one because I just, I did have some longer term stuff that I got shaken out of and I didn't redeploy here. But still this 29.50 area, it's pesky. We're trading up 46 cents in the pre-market, 29.07. Yesterday's high, 29.05. And this is almost, you look at stocks on a relative basis, this is almost back at 29.57. That was the area that the high had hit before the market melted down. It just got hit with everything else. And then I also noticed that when the market continued to go down, this made some higher lows. So missed a lot of good indicators in this one. Still have it in long-term portfolio, but definitely missed a short-term trade in it. S&P futures.
I think $30. I'm just going to say on Twitter. I think you're going to run into resistance there. It might test it here today. It can get some gas going. It's 29.07 pre-market. I would say all kinds of overhead supply at $30. So I would say that's your major resistance point. Let's see what it does there.
Okay, Spencer, what did we miss here?
One more I wanted to get to, and that is Walmart this morning. We discussed it on the pre-market show, but didn't get to it during the regular show. Is that they reaffirmed they cut their guidance for the fiscal year. They cut their adjusted EPS guidance just from $4.90 to $4.65 on the low end of the range, but they said they would do that after they announced their acquisition of Flipkart. That was back in June. And I recall them definitely saying that they were it was going to be dilutive, and it was going to negatively impact the 2018 fiscal year guidance. But so they're just reaffirming what they already said this morning. And we are seeing the stock sort of trade down off that.
Yeah, so they kind of warned. So they did warn today, but they warned you that they were going to warn. So it's funny, in the pre-market, and so it's the headline broke, they hit the stock all the way down 91.5. So they hit it pretty hard. But it's come all the way back to flat, and that's exactly why, because Spencer, has just explained that they already told you they were going to do this. So, maybe it's people who didn't realize they said they were going to say this stuff, and they were the ones that were hitting it down earlier. I actually played it from just a whipsaw action a little bit. Had a couple pretty good trades in this one this morning, just on smaller size, but actually one trade I made 2 points. But anyways, it's come all the way back. So no position in it for me now. I'm already out. But it's trading flat. But if you're coming here saying, hey, it's warned, why is it not trading down? And that's the reason.
Actually, you know what they said on the morning of this was from May 9th, and they said if the deal were to close, their $16 billion deal for a stake in Flipkart, if that deal were to close, it would negatively impact fiscal year 19 EPS by 25 to 30 cents. Well, that's what we got this morning, $4.90 to $4.65. So we're right what they said. So.
played this one a little bit last week from the short side. I wish I would have held on to it. But anyways, you did get a real dip in the pre-market. Now it's unchanged. So see what they want to do. The battleground here, 93.82. That was your closing price. Doubt we'll see yesterday's high. If we do get up into 95 area, your last two highs, 94.93 and 95.17, closed on its low tick of 93.82. And then this, I'd say you could see some more downside if you take out 93.60. Gap fill way down at 90.41. That's $3.50 away. All right, Spencer, you want to wrap things up here?
Sure.
Preview Wednesday show.
On tomorrow's show, we're going to be joined by Scott Radler. He's the chief strategist at T3 Live and the T3 Trading Group. We'll also hit up Alan Broxy to see if he can stop by for a few minutes on tomorrow to talk about cannabis as it gets legalized in Canada. If you missed any part of today's show, you should catch our podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Google Play. Just basically wherever you get your podcasts, you can search for Benzinga or PreMarket and catch everything you missed today, including our chat with Nick. Also, we are a little under a month away from the Benzinga FinTech Summit. If you go to bzsummit.com, you can learn all about it. It's November 14th in San Francisco. If you go to that website, enter the promo code PMPVIP, as in PreMarket Prep, very important person. You'll get 80% off your ticket. That's bzsummit.com. And we're still offering this amazing deal for Benzinga Pro. Pro.benzinga.com is the URL for that. You can learn all about Benzinga's real-time newswire, our breaking news headlines, SEC filings, our Squawk, our chat room, all that and more. Pro.benzinga.com, promo code AM Pro, Alpha Mary Papa Romeo October, to get 25% off a Benzinga Pro subscription.
Can I do one more?
There.
Can I do one more?
Yes.
BZ Tokyo, who's just a great chatter here, said, please do American Airlines. Boy, oh boy, what an interesting technical formation here. Basically a triple bottom here, just under $31, massive accumulation. This is what Gil Morales talks about. This is when you may have an institution buying at this area. So if you're looking at a swing trade, something to lean on, there's a triple bottom to lean on. On the upside, pair of highs in the lower 32 handle, 32.14 or 32.13 and 32.24. I like it up to 32.75 after that. So you made your low. You got triple bottom to lean on, a little bit of congestion here. You got a strong market. So rather be long than short this one. So sorry about that, Spencer.
No, that's a good note to end on. And on that note, please remember that all the information on our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. And hope you guys had a good morning, and hope you join us again on Wednesday.